Warrior's Age of Conan. It's a little loud, isn't it? It's alright with me. It's beautiful music. Don't you hate it that you have to listen to me talk before I get to the Conan story? Well, it's just how it is, because I need therapy. See, I'm not really good at anything, so I just have to read a book. It's just how it is. Alright, I'm in this water. And I'll go and kill everything around. I do it over and over and over and over and over and over again, because I'm bored. Let's see. I'm only going to waste a minute of your time today. Still reading the Scarlet Citadel. See if I can find my place. I stopped reading last time because I couldn't stand this horrid illustration. I just don't like it. It's just not good. Scarlet Citadel. But I really do like reading the book. I just have to make my own Conan illustrations. There was a snake that dwarfed all Conan's previous ideas of snakes. 80 feet it stretched from its pointed tail to its triangular head, which was bigger than that of a horse. In the dim light, its scales glistened coldly, white as hoarfrost. Surely this reptile was one born and grown in darkness, yet its eyes were full of evil and sure sight. It looped its tightened coils in front of the captive, and the great head on the arching neck swayed a matter of inches from his face. Its forked tongue almost brushed his lips as it darted in and out, and its fetid odor made his senses reel with nausea. The great yellow eyes burned into his, and Conan gave back the glare of a trapped wolf. He fought frenziedly against the mad impulse to grasp the great arching neck in his tearing hands. Strong beyond the comprehension of civilized man, he had broken the neck of a python in a fiendish battle on the Stygian coast in his corsair days. But this reptile was venomous. He saw the great fangs, a foot long, curved like scimitars. From them dripped a colorless liquid that he instinctively knew was death. He might conceivably crush that wedge-shaped skull with a desperate clenched fist, but he knew that at his first hint of movement, the monster would strike like lightning. It was not because of any logical reasoning process that Conan remained motionless, since reason might have told him, since he was doomed anyway, to goad the snake into striking and get it over with. It was the blind black instinct of self-preservation that held him rigid as a statue blasted out of iron. Now the great barrel reared up, and the head was poised high above his own as the monster investigated the torch. A drop of venom fell on his naked thigh, and the feel of it was like a white-hot dagger driven into his flesh. Red jets of agony shot through Conan's brain, yet he held himself immovable. Not by the twitching of a muscle or the flicker of any eyelash did he betray the pain of the hurt that left a scar he bore to the day of his death. The serpent swayed over him as if seeking to ascertain whether there were in truth life in this figure which stood so death-like still. Then suddenly, unexpectedly, the outer door, all but invisible in the shadows, clanged stridently. The serpent, suspicious as all its kind, whipped about with a quickness incredible for its bulk, and vanished with a long-drawn slithering down the corridor. The door swung open and remained open. The grille was withdrawn, and a huge dark figure was framed in the glow of torches outside. The figure glided in, pulling the grille partly to behind it, leaving the bolt poised. As it moved into the light of the torch over Conan's head, the king saw that it was a gigantic black man, stark naked, bearing in one hand a huge sword and in the other a bunch of keys. The black spoke in a sea-coast dialect, and Conan replied. He had learned the jargon while a corsair on the coasts of Kush. Long have I wished to meet you, Amra. The black gave Conan the name by which the Cimmerian had been known to the Kushites in his piratical days. Amra, the lion. The slave's woolly skull split in an animal-like grin, showing white tusks, but his eyes glinted redly in the torchlight. I have dared much for this meeting. Look, the keys to your chains. I stole them from Shekeli. What will you give me for them? He dangled the keys in front of Conan's eyes. 10,000 golden lunas, answered the king quickly, new hope surging fiercely in his breast. Not enough, cried the black, a ferocious exultation shining on his ebon countenance. Not enough for the risks I take. Satha's pets might come out of the dark and eat me, and if Shukeli finds out I stole his keys, he'll hang me up by my balls. Well, what will you give me? 15,000 lunas and a palace in Poitain, offered the king. The black yelled and stamped in a frenzy of barbaric gratification. More, he cried, offer me more. What will you give me? You black dog, a red mist of fury swept across Conan's eyes. Were I free, I'd give you a broken back. Did Shukeli send you here to mock me? Yeah, if the guy really likes Conan, why is he bargaining with him? Shukeli knows nothing of my coming, white man, answered the black, craning his thick neck to peer into Conan's savage eyes. I know you from of old, since the days when I was a chief among a free people, before the Stygians took me and sold me into the north. Do you not remember the sack of Abombi, when your sea wolves swarmed in? Before the palace of King Ajaga, you slew a chief, and a chief fled from you? It was my brother who died. It was I who fled. I demand of you a blood price, Amra. Free me and I'll pay you your weight in gold pieces, growled Conan. The red eyes glittered. The white teeth flashed wolfishly in the torchlight. Aye, you white dog, you are like all your race. But to a black man, gold can never pay for blood. The price I ask you is your head. I don't know why he would want his head, man, when he could get some money. What's that gonna do? The word was a maniacal shriek that sent the echoes shivering. Conan tensed, unconsciously straining against his shackles in his abhorrence of dying like a sheep. Then he was frozen by a great horror. Over the black's shoulder he saw a vague, horrific form swaying in the darkness. Satha will never know, laughed the black fiendishly, too engrossed in his gloating triumph to take heed of anything else, too drunk with hate to know that death swayed behind his shoulder. He will not come into the vaults until the demons have torn your bones from their chains. I will have your head, Amra. He braced his knotted legs like ebon columns and swung up the massive sword in both hands, his great black muscles rolling and cracking in the torchlight. And at that instant, the titanic shadow behind him darted down and out, and the wedge-shaped head smote with an impact that re-echoed down the tunnels. Not a sound came from the thick, blubbery lips that flew wide in fleeting agony. With the thud of the stroke, Conan saw the life go out of the wide black eyes with the suddenness of a candle blown out. The blow knocked the great black body clear across a corridor, and horribly the gigantic sinuous shape whipped around it in glistening coils that hid it from view, and the snap and splintering of bones came plainly to Conan's ears. Then something made his heart leap madly. The sword and the keys had flown from the black's hands to crash and jangle on the stone, and the keys lay almost at the king's feet. Well, one thing I can say about Conan is I really do enjoy reading this. So, thanks for listening, and see you next time. What am I going to do? Read Catcher in the Rye?